Hey, good morning, Jason Lash, EXP Realty. Happy February 20th. We're about two-thirds of the way through the month of February. I feel like this year's flying. So I'm here with my buddy Ryan Pickard. Ryan, we've known each other for how long?
Man,
At this point,
at least maybe like 7 or 8 years at this point.
7, 8 years. It's been a while. So it's a funny
Yeah.
story about Ryan and I and a couple other real estate agents during COVID, when especially in Michigan, we couldn't leave our house, even mow our yard. Ryan and I spent a lot of time playing online poker together on Saturday nights, and I kid you not, Ryan, that was the highlight of COVID for me. It was I look forward to those Saturday nights playing poker with you guys online. So. Um, I think we had some pretty tense games. Were like 10, $20 on on the line for some of these games. So
But you know what? It was so cool though. And it was just such a great opportunity to connect with other people and in a time when everyone was so secluded. It was really cool to I look forward to it as well. Like I really did. And we did it for like it took like 2 or 3 hours out of the night and we just kind of hung out. And I mean, what were we playing? Like $20 or maybe 50? I think we did
it's just
$50 like one
stupid
time. It wasn't
tournaments.
anything much. Yeah, but it was.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think I even won one time. I think I won like $150 or $200 or something like that.
Hopefully that
No.
money was invested into a good stock, so everything was so low. Marathon gas it was $4 a gallon back then.
Yep.
So, but
So
yeah, no,
so
we,
that's
we
so that's the theme of the podcast today is how to gamble. And but no, too funny, man. Good times. Good
so
times.
yeah, this is a real conversation between Ryan and I. This is what our normal conversations are like. So, but good. So, well, I want to bring Ryan on here. So, Ryan is a real estate agent out of Orlando, right? You're in Orlando, right?
Hmm.
So you're in Orlando, and he's got another company that Ryan started. Kind of a passion of Ryan. This is called Rest Marketing, and it's all about social media stuff. Anything Facebook and Instagram. Ryan is the king of this. So I wanted to do a quick podcast here because I want to talk about social media. As a matter of fact, anybody watching this video, the reason why you're watching this video is because of social media. Obviously, I'm not going to bore everybody about how important social media is, but I see a lot of real estate agents. I coach a lot of real estate agents that I frankly don't feel like they do it right. I do quite well with social media, not as good as you, but I do quite well on it too. And so I'm just going to kind of start off here, Ryan. I just want to ask you some questions about about what real estate agents should be doing on social media. So, what are some like effective strategies real estate agents can do to increase their visibility on social media?
Yeah, so a couple answers to that. First off, I think it's important that we delineate when you're running ads on social media from actually building a following. When we're talking about building a following or running ads for that matter, I think that first and foremost, people really need to understand that people don't go onto social media to look at property. They don't go onto Facebook to look at new listings. They go onto Facebook to see what their friends did over the weekend. And then Facebook is a very reactive type of platform where somebody sees something that's intriguing to them, and so then they're going to engage with it. So, to answer your question in terms of strategies, uh, not to give you the cookie cutter answer that everybody hears, but honestly, consistency is going to be a really big one, because ultimately, what you're doing with social media is you're creating a brand. I mean, that's what this is all about. You look at any successful company and they have a brand, and the reason that brands are so important is because you need to have a unique selling feature that separates you from everybody else. And I know that USPs are it's kind of a little bit of real estate jargon and it's kind of a little bit of a buzzword, but really, at the end of the day, especially if you're in a hyper competitive market, if you're in like LA or Orlando or New York or any big city for that matter, as opposed to living in a small town, what is separating you from everybody else in the eyes of the consumer? Now, because you might know that I check my stats every single morning and I know what the inventory is and I have every single designation in the world. But again, from the eyes of the consumer, what really separates you from everybody else? So what we're going to get a little bit into branding, and so if in terms of strategy, developing a brand that really embodies who you are so that people can resonate with you and your core values and your belief systems, that's going to be a strategy that you want to put out there. But if we're going to talk in terms of an organic strategy, just to kind of give you a golden nugget right out the gate, um, Facebook, the algorithm on social media, it prioritizes groups, because the whole idea of social media is that people, they want people on there to be social, and the more people that are on there for a longer time, the more ads they can show. So what they do is, when somebody is a member of a group, when somebody is a member of a group on your news feed, you'll see the groups that you subscribe to all the time. If you run a business page and you're not paying, they're not going to show your stuff because they want you to pay, period. So I see a lot of agents that have fantastic content that are putting videos together and really great copy on posts, and they put it out into the ether. And then they just spent $300 shooting this beautiful video, and it has like one like, on it, because they're
Yeah.
posting it on their business page and nobody is seeing it. But if you want to start to create a following in terms of strategy, if you want to create a following that is going to see your posts organically, the number one thing you can do, which isn't going to yield immediate results, it's a marathon, okay? Start a Facebook group, whether it's a common interest group, whether it's a VIP friends and family, or it's a past client, or whatever you want to call it, but start a group. And then every single person you can talk to, invite them to the group, invite them to the group, invite them to the group, and then make that group your social media. Like, don't like, if anybody here is friends with me on social media, is like a Facebook friend, what you'll see is that my news feed consists of my wife tagging me on things. Like, I never post on social media. But when you have a group, that can be your
Yep.
social media outlet, because then people will
Huh.
see you more often.
So I love where you're going with that. I mean, with the Real Estate Lead Hacks Mastermind Facebook group, and you're right about that. We got about 5,000 people, give or take, in that group. I make a post in there. A bad post will get about 15 to 20% of the people will see it. Somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people when I say a bad post. Now, with that being said, if I make from my business page, if I make a post, unless I'm paying to boost it, it's about a 3 to 5% actually see it. So with 1,000 people in there, if I make a post, I'm hoping 50 people see it, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that one of those 50 will actually buy a house. So that's just a business page, and that's a different group. I didn't think about that, because that is very interesting, because I get about 25% organically, and if it's a good post with a good meme, I can get almost all 5,000 people in there just because it's a group. So I love that. No, that's a huge tip right there.
Yeah, no, 100%. The group is such a great thing that you should build. And if I can just put a plug out there, a good friend of mine, his name is Will Penny. He actually has a company called Social Orchard, which is a very affordable, and he gives you all the content, and you can literally make a social group, and he teaches you how to build a VIP group. And I mean, I think he's up in Ohio with four other agents, and they're selling like 250 homes a year or something crazy like that. And it just comes from this group. So there is proven methodology within that. I mean, it really does work. The proof of concept is there. But again, the thing to keep in mind is that group only grows when you are literally inviting people one by one by one. So don't think that anything with social media is going to be immediate. But when we're talking about social media, really what we're talking about is digital farming. And
Mhm.
as a farmer, like in real life, there's a season to plant, there's a season to harvest and to water, not harvest, sorry, but like to nurture and to water and let those crops grow. And in our instance, a crop is like an opportunity for a relationship or a sale. And then there's the time to harvest. But you don't harvest if you don't nurture those opportunities, and you don't nurture if you don't plant to begin with. So it takes a little bit of time, but it's
So
worth it.
that's a great, because I do a lot of branding stuff too. I do a lot of radio. I do social media. We do well, but obviously, not nearly as what you're doing there. But billboards and so forth, and everything takes a while. You mentioned postcards. So I guess the question is, there needs to be, you need to have some sort of gratification early on in the process to know that it's working, to feel that it's working, while you're waiting for that first deal, because like you said, it's a long term play here. So, what are ways to measure success without saying, "Hey, I got a deal"? What's another way to say early on that we can look for that we can measure success?
Engagement. Engagement's going to
Engagement.
be a
Okay.
really huge one. Yeah. And frankly, engagement will kind of stroke your ego a little bit too. At least it does for me, if I can be candid, you know. So it'll make you feel good. But when you put something out there and you're sticking to a specific methodology and strategy for doing whatever it is that you do on social media, and you see that the engagement is there and then it grows, you know you're on the right track. You know,
Okay.
because again, you can have 1,000 people in the group or 1,000 people following your page, and if you post something and I mean, people are seeing it, but if nobody is liking it or commenting or sharing, I mean, what that is really telling you is that people aren't resonating with your message. So it's a really good way to course correct. If you're running a couple things and people aren't resonating, maybe you need to look at some other things to
Okay.
post. But
So
that's what
I,
it's
I
all about.
started so I started a group with whatever my interest or whatever my location or my town or whatever it is. And early on, let's say the first month, we maybe got a couple hundred people in it, which would be great if you could get a couple hundred people right away, or even just got 50 people in it, which we should all be able to do just by inviting our friends. Obviously, I'm not cashing a check more than likely. Odds are within the first 45 days. But what you're saying is, if my posts, if what if what I'm talking about is being shared, or people are talking and people are engaging with with the posts. So I ask a question, and that gets engagement. That's what I need to be looking for early on, not necessarily a paycheck or a deal or a closing or active buyer.
Correct. And that's the thing. That's the thing about branding is it's always going to be a little tough to track your ROI when you're making a branding play. And social media is a branding play because what you're doing is you're developing an image that people see, or like a lens that people see you through, that are going to determine if they want to work with you specifically because of who you are, or if they want to work with other people. So yeah, it's a little hard to track things monetarily at first, but engagement is a really great way to start. As you go further, further through this journey of social media, another thing that you can track is well, let me just give you an example. I followed up with a lead yesterday. I give her a call. I'm in the car. I give her a call, and you know how she picks up the phone? Hey, Ryan, how are you? So understand that there's old adage to this idea of know, like, and trust, right? Like every salesperson preaches know, like, and trust. And so when people know you because they see you all the time and they like you and they feel like you're competent, like you know what you're talking about and that you're trustworthy in that regard, both in knowledge as well as the willingness to put them first and to really advocate for them, that's going to help you with conversion rates. But what you're going to find is that, generally speaking, conversations are going to be easier. People are going to remember who you are, and so that's kind of like a secondary or even a tertiary effect of building a brand on social media, is that people just know you and naturally they want to work with you. But to begin with, a really good metric, at least to know if your posts are resonating with people, is what does the engagement look like. And
Engagement.
to that note, understand that just because you're putting beautiful stuff out there, it doesn't mean that people are even seeing it to begin with. Facebook algorithms, YouTube algorithms, TikTok algorithms, what they go off of is how long people are watching it, but more importantly, comments and shares. Comments and shares. And it's almost like you build social credit with these companies, because again, their objective is to keep people on the platform as long as possible.
Sure.
So it's almost like if you run a bunch of really, really bad posts and you don't get any engagement, the odds that you post something else and it's going to get in front of people, even if you have 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers, if you don't have good engagement, it's probably not going to be shown to a lot of people. But you shoot a video or you put a picture out there that resonates with people, uh, in a really, really big way. It's almost like they say, okay, we'll give you a free 10% boost
Yeah.
based on your history and what you're doing. We're now going to show it to some more people, and we're going to show it to some more people. So really focusing on what's going to engage with people, or what's going to cause the highest amount of engagements, as well as shares and comments. That's going to be, which are engagements. But that's going to be really, really important. But
When you say coming,
yeah,
go
but
ahead.
real
Go ahead.
quick
Sorry.
too, another thing that I just kind of want to add on that, on that note, is that whenever we write something, like whenever you're writing copy in your business for social media, you you always want to be thinking about what the end user wants to see, like what's in it for them. Like there's a direct correlation between the value that you're bringing and the commitment that they're going to give to you. And in this instance, the commitment is sitting and watching what you have to say. So you really have to be thinking about, what am I going to say that's going to resonate with them, that's going to intrigue them, that's going to want them to stay and listen to what you have to say. And so, it's never about, like when I write copy, it's never about me, it's about other people. And if it is about me, it's about things that other people align with.
Like
Okay.
your daughter, or yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah,
You know,
stuff like that.
and everybody loves seeing things like that. So that's good. What are some mistakes
Mhm.
that you see a lot of real estate agents making?
Making it about themselves is the number one thing. I'm so blessed that I made it to the $1 million club in 2023. It's like, pardon my French, but who gives a shit? Like who's like, I don't want to, like, I don't want to take away from the fact that you had a really great year. Like, I'm happy that you had a really great year, but you're not the center of the universe. And when people, in fact, one could argue that by default, everyone is the center of their own universes. So,
Yeah,
so when people are scrolling through on social media and they see a post that's like, oh yeah, I just sold a house for 15% over list price. Like, I understand that maybe what you're trying to do is convey that you're that you're doing an extra great job for clients, but what it really looks like is a humble brag. And
hmm
that just doesn't resonate with people,
it's
so that
interesting.
would be the number one thing, is stop talking about, like you can talk about yourself as long as the purpose of talking about yourself is to resonate and align with other people. But if any way you're congratulating yourself, or you're bragging about yourself, or you're just talking about everything about you, I mean, people will see it, and I'm not saying that they won't, like, I'm not saying people won't like you for it, but if the ultimate goal is to get more engagement so that more people see your stuff, you're
hmm
doing yourself a disservice.
No, I'm going to disagree with you. My mother loves it when I go online and talk about all the homes I sold.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Well, and for what it's worth, I
He
saw I
will
saw your
engage with every post. I love you, Mom, if you're watching this.
yep.
I know
Yeah,
you
and
are.
and you know what? It's I saw the billboard that you had up in Grand Rapids where it said voted number one real estate agent in the state of Michigan, and then a little tiny asterisk at the bottom. Vote was conducted by direct family members. you know?
I'll be fair. My father is also real. He's retired now, but was a real estate agent until about a year or so ago, and I was still
Mhm.
her favorite realtor. So,
There you go. There you go.
so
Yeah, but
awesome.
but that's but that but that's the number one mistake, making it about you and not about other people. You always want to be thinking through the lens of what is in it for me being the person that's watching the video. um Going back to strategies, not to kind of take us backwards but to go forward, another thing just kind of on that note, is if you want to start to get a following and you want to start getting engagements, start shooting videos about other businesses. Start shooting posts about other businesses. People love that stuff. And you know what? If the name of your page is, like, for example, Ryan Pickard Realtor or Jason Lash Realtor, guess what? They're going to see that you're a realtor. It's not like it's going to fall on blind eyes. Like, they're going to see what you do, but by doing that, it's a really great first step to get more engagement and to get a following. And frankly, through that engagement and that following, the reason that that's so powerful is because people are naturally going to start looking at you as an authority in the community that you're in, because you're showcasing and highlighting all of these other places. Not to mention the fact that, when you showcase a small business owner and then you tag their page, then it shows up on their page, and they love you to death because you're giving them free press, and then they start to share it, and other people in the community that have no idea who you are all of a sudden do know who you are, because you are highlighting a business that they know that business. So it's kind of like a degree of separation. And when you start to do that consistently, like what I told you before, number one thing, consistency, all of a sudden that starts to build a brand as well.
Love
And
it.
and
Love it.
for the record, we're talking strictly organic. Like, you
Yeah.
can put this into overdrive when you start to when you start to put like an actual marketing strategy behind it with real ad dollars and things like that, then you can really get pretty crazy with this stuff. But I mean, give enough people what they want, you get what you want. Help others. I mean, there's so many quotes about how if you help other people and if you put the spotlight on other people, it's going to bring you good karma, if you will. I
Yeah.
mean,
I always
this
say
does not.
you got to give to get. That's my thing. So you got to give to
Yeah,
get.
BNI's
So
motto, givers gain. Exactly. It's
yeah,
all the
yeah.
same.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of those. That's awesome. Good. All
Yeah.
right, we got a couple things, or we got something going on Friday. Tell me about what's going on Friday.
Yeah.
Friday the
So
23rd, February 23rd.
excuse me. So Friday, we are so I'm going to be hosting a class, a webinar, and we're just going to be talking about different strategies. We're going to dig a little bit more into branding. We're going to talk about what you can do to actually develop a brand to create what's called a captive audience so that people will start seeing you consistently. We're going to talk about scripts and how to actually qualify social media leads. I mean, we're really just going to set you up for success when it comes to social media. And for what it's worth, I think it's important that if you do, if you desire to have a business that has social media as part of the marketing plan, it's going to be really important that you're on this call because with social media, people. Well, I digress. People, Facebook leads in real estate are a little stigmatized, right?
Mhm.
Like everyone's like social media leads, oh, those suck. Well, and they have different reasons for why they suck. And I would say the two biggest ones that I feel like are actually valid reasons are that number one, unlike something like pay-per-click advertising, like it's not as high intention. People aren't like with Google, someone types in homes for sale in said area and like they're looking for it. It doesn't solve the fact that they're probably pretty far out. So number one, the leads aren't as high of an intent, but at the same time, the other thing too is that they're pretty upstream. They're high hanging fruit, if you will. I mean, look, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. Like you're going to find people that that want to buy now through volume with any lead source. I mean, you can call them the phone book, and eventually you're going to find somebody that wants to buy now.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, they're a little bit, they're higher hanging fruit, and the trouble with that is that even if you have the best conversation in the world, they're probably just not going to remember who you are.
Mhm.
And even if they do remember who you are, all of a sudden their neighbor says, "Well, I just got my real estate license and I'll list your house for $1,000." It's like, well, shoot. I mean, what's that? What's separating me from somebody else? So the problem a lot of the times with social media is again, they don't know who you are, they don't remember who you are, you don't have a value proposition that is unique enough and powerful enough to get them to want to work with you specifically. And so, anyways, the point of the webinar is just to or the meeting, if you will, the class is just to put on your radar things that you can do to make it so that people want to work with you specifically
Love it.
and
No,
amongst a bunch of other things.
yeah. No, I love it. I love it. Awesome. So it's gonna be 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, February 23rd, 2020, 23, 24. We're in 24.
Yeah. Yep.
We're not done February, so I have another week before I get the year right. So February 23rd, 2024 at 1 o'clock Eastern time. I'm actually going to be putting a link for this webinar. Ryan shared it with me. I will be there. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very intrigued about it. I'll be honest with you, I had a Facebook group. I actually had 4 Facebook groups at one time. Something happened to my Facebook account. I lost those groups. I did really, really well on that. I had a following about 10,000 people just from those groups alone. I had over 10,000, probably closer to 15,000 for those groups alone. I'll tell you, this works. Those groups were small. I know one agent that actually we have a mutual friend in our market. It's got a Facebook group about 60,000 people. Think about that, 60,000 people. Even if he's only getting a 5% engagement, he makes a post. What is that? That's 3,000 people saw that. So, and it's free. That's not boosting it. If you want to boost it or do something crazy, you could do something crazier. So I'm telling you, this works. He kills it. I know you kill it too. So again, that's going to be February 23rd, 2024. I'll be putting a link on here in the comments. Ryan, I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, of course.
You
Thanks for having me. And can I just say one more thing before we
Yep.
wrap this up? Um, the real estate market is changing in so many
Yes.
different ways. But one of the things that we talked about before we started recording were trends in real estate and social media trends. A perfect example is that Zillow is no longer going to be selling their leads. I'm sure that really they're going to flex. Realtor.com eventually they're already kind of halfway there. They're going to stop selling their leads. So more and more, like you want to talk about trends, more and more people are going to need and are going to be focusing on building a brand so that people want to work with them. So if you aren't getting into social media now, and I know you've heard this before, but like really, I want you to just internalize this. If you haven't started with social media now, you need to start. Now is the time because you're just not going to have access to the opportunities to generate business like you have before.
No, no, that's good. That's good. And really like start over. If you have started, you can still start over at any given time. And I'm going to piggyback that. I've always said that. And we do some Zillow, and I'm not going to try to badmouth some of these lead providers that we buy from. We do a lot with Z Buyer, but you got, and people watch this know I'm also very heavy Google. That's kind of one of my jams and my specialties. And the reason why I'm doing that and kind of piggybacks with the social media, what you're talking about, when you start generating your own leads, you are actually the one that is scaling. If you're a team, if your business relies 100% around buying leads from Zillow, well, guess what? You are the one being scaled. Zillow, if they raise their fees, you're going to have to pay more or you have a problem. So again, it comes down to the difference about being scaled or doing the scaling. And that's exactly what you're talking about there, Ryan. So I love it. I'm excited for this on Friday. This is going to be fun. So good. Ryan, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming in here. So what's your website? Let me plug your website too for your business.
RESS Marketing, RESS. It stands for Real Estate Success Systems. You can go to ressmarketing.com. There's
Marketing.com.
a lot of information about what we do on there, and
Awesome.
we'll dive in with a couple things that we're actually releasing here that are that are going to be really great. I'm excited to share those on Friday. But yeah, definitely make it there. It's going to be
Good,
really
good,
really telling.
good. Awesome. Thanks again, Ryan. And I will see you Friday afternoon. So have a
Awesome, man.
great
Look
one.
forward to it. All
Yep.
right, cheers.
Yep.